Hi, I'm Manda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm making these videos with tips to help people become their most creative selves. This tip is something that basically goes against everything that American culture is about with all of our hustle culture, but this is about taking time to relax in order to avoid creative exhaustion. Because you can be, especially if you're blessed to have good health, you might be able to just hustle all day and just be busy from the second you get up till the second you go to bed, and really most of us are. But even if by some miracle you're not physically exhausted by that, there's a good chance that you are creatively exhausted, because the two really are different. And to fix this creative exhaustion, it's simple but not easy, because basically you just need time to relax, and that probably means putting aside some of the chores or errands that you have to do and just prioritizing. So I have been somebody who's used a to-do list and tried to be very, very productive with my time. I think I started using a to-do list with an actual piece of paper with things listed on it, probably from the time I was 8 years old. And this was just something that we did in my family. And it's helpful in that you don't have to use up a lot of bandwidth remembering things. So it's good to write them down. But as I've gotten older, I've had to force myself to slow down, because otherwise I'm facing creative exhaustion. So several years ago, well, more than that, let's say maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I was being extremely productive and getting everything done that I had to do in a day, and just hustle, hustle, hustle from the time I got up. And I really wasn't that physically exhausted, other than just my normal sleep issues that I've had for my whole life. But I did realize that I was creatively exhausted because I just wasn't putting any time to breathe in there. And this was a period where I really just was not doing a whole lot of creative work. And once I realized that and let myself slow down, all of a sudden I entered a really strong creative phase that's been going on now for, I guess it's been a decade and a half. And it's basically because I've had to just slow down and stop using everything on my to-do list. And my to-do list at this point never gets done. But what does get done is stuff that's more important, like painting and making these videos. And I've wanted to prioritize what's really important to me, and it's more important to get some really good paintings done than it is to have a spotlessly clean house. Although spotless, I'm so far from that right now that that's a joke. But if you do not have time to just relax, and I've spoken in earlier videos about making time to be creative, and of course you want time to work on your creative project when you can, or your hobby, and also setting aside time to come up with ideas. But even more than that, you need to have some time where you're just relaxing, and that might have nothing to do with creativity. Last night, for example, I knew that I was going to be doing videos today and then also coming up with other ideas. So I just, at one point, just set the to-do list aside. I was supposed to vacuum the house last night, and I did not. And all I did was instead sit on the couch and listen to music and read. And I came up with a few ideas, but nothing, it wasn't an intense idea generating session by any stretch. And I know it's really hard to figure out how to put in time to relax, especially if you have a lot of kids. And really the best way to do that is if you can just put in if you've already got a to-do list, if you can put in just 5 minutes here and there to relax. And if you're privileged enough, like I am, to be able to relax in nature, so much the better. That's especially helpful. But even if it's just sitting on the couch or sitting in your car for a few minutes and just listening to music, or just whatever helps you feel a little bit calmer, that's going to help. It'll probably make you feel, if you are feeling physically exhausted, that will help a little, but it will help prevent creative exhaustion. And I am lucky enough nowadays that I have something, I have this reminder when I need to set the to-do list aside and just relax and just stop worrying about getting everything done. And that is my cat Nelope. She is extremely helpful. She will find my to-do list, and she actually did that last night. Often I have it just sitting on the table when I'm at home on the kitchen table, and it is a piece of paper, and she will get up on the table, she will find that to-do list, she will look me in the eye, and she will start shredding it. So last night she started ripping that piece of paper to shreds, and so I said, okay, Nelope, I guess you're right, let's just take the time to relax. And of course, she wants me to pet her, so that's part of relaxing. But she is right. My cat is very wise, and she knows when it's time for me to stop just hustling and just trying to get everything done and just take the time to relax so that I don't wind up creatively exhausted. And of course, at this point, I also face physical and mental exhaustion. But in addition to becoming more creative people, if we take time to relax, I do think it will help people get along better with each other, that that we're not just constantly doing chores and errands and just taking a little bit of time for ourselves. And so even if that's unrealistic for your schedule, just please try to find 5 minutes here and there where you can do that. And hopefully you're able to, and this really will help you prevent creative exhaustion. And especially if you're just new to doing anything artistic, you may not even realize that you have creative exhaustion. It may be why you haven't started on that hobby you've been meaning to start on. But please consider this and think about it and take some time to relax, and you will find that then you can enter a much more creative period in your life. So I really hope that this tip was useful to you. Again, my name is Manda McKay, and thank you so much for watching.